Orale, what's good, mi gente? You already know who it is. It's your boy, OG Gordo. And I got my man back again. You already know who it is. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my boy.
Yo, this is Full Nelson, El Manzanero, straight out of New York City. What's going on, internet world? Glad to be back with y'all round two. You know, it was so good the first time we had to do it again. So here we go, my peoples.
That's it. And I wanted to bring you back because I had quite a few questions that a lot of people were digging your music. Man, we actually were bumping your music on one of my Saturday night kickbacks. And I don't know if you
That's a
ran that
beautiful
back.
thing.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I got to see snippets of it, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Appreciate the love, man. Thank you, Southwest. Whoop whoop.
you already know. But I got a question here from Flox, okay, Flox 213, and he had noticed that
Okay.
you had said about Rick James being one of your favorite artists, and he wanted to know if you've ever like decided to like use some of his material, like such as beats or even a hook, something in your music? I mean, I thought it was a good question, so I went ahead and went with it.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Personally, you know, I co-produce. So I work with DJ Cell, who's my main producer. I mean, I've been rocking with DJ Cell since 1983. So this is my brother from the cradle, you know what I mean? And he's always been my music guy. And so what I tend to do is I tend to take his lead and then I either jump in and say, let's do this or let's do that to it and modify it somewhat. But it's something that I'm definitely open to. You know, I mean, Rick James has been sampled quite a bit by the early hip hop founders, man. It was a sound that was used a lot in the 80s, you know, so it's something that's been done. And you know, I come from that school of originality, man, where we try to be as authentic as possible. Even if we do sample something, we at least try to make it sound original to the sample and not use it in a way that maybe others might have done. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
so that possibility of using a Rick James sound is always on the table, you know, but it hasn't been something that I've targeted. Let me just say it that way. But who knows, right? One day I may just be sitting around listening to a Rick James song and I might just hear something that I go, hey, I want to work with that. But so far it hasn't happened. But who's to say? It might just happen one day.
Yeah, you never know. You never know because you know they noticed that was like you said your favorite, you know, your favorite. But yeah, I think it would be kind of cool to hear something like that. And another one is that one song Tres Caronas. Okay, everybody's digging that one.
Yeah.
I even liked it. That song goes hard.
Yeah.
And what inspired you and what gave you? Obviously, we seen that there was three of you guys, so I assumed that it had to do with all three of you. And but let give us a background on the song Tres Coronas, three Coronas for people who
I'll
don't
tell
know.
you, man, listen. Sure, absolutely. It's my pleasure. You know, it's funny because that song, we recorded that song back in 2004. And that song, it was part of an album, or I should say, it's part of an album called Confia en Me, which is my second album. And I recorded that album in Spain with nothing but Spanish producers, which was like my first time working outside of my element. I went to work with foreign producers, people I had never worked with, and everything was real organic. And I was able to get a lot of big people from Spain on that record. And Tres Coronas just happened to be on a tour with me. We just so happened to link up. Now, people that may not know Tres Coronas, you have a member that's from France. He's French Colombian. Then you have another Colombian member and then a Dominican member. So there were three of them, Tres Coronas. So
Right.
that record is called Sopla el Pito, right?
Oh,
That's the title to that song, Sopla el Pito. So
okay.
it's basically us linking up in Spain, organically running to the studio on some, yo, you guys want to do a song? All right, let's do it. And we just ran in, and that's what came out of it, man. Produced by DJ Bone, which is an incredible Spaniard producer. This guy's put his hands on a lot of stuff. has a great ear. He has a way of making music organically, like coming up right from his head without using samples and that sort of thing. Very gifted young man. And so he was able to lay down that track, which definitely goes hard, man. That's that track right there, man. It's funny because I could go to Chile, I could go to Colombia, I could go to Ecuador, Peru, and they'll sing that shit to me, man. It's crazy. It's a
Arizona.
beautiful thing. So shout out to Tres Coronas for making a banger with me, bro. That's what's up.
Hey, that's for sure, man. Hey, that one is a hitter right there. I mean, you know what? I ain't gonna lie.
Thank
I
you.
must have played it back my own self probably at least three more times after that, man. That's a good jam right there.
Appreciate it.
And that question was actually from
Thank you.
Santa Barbara 805. So he was the one that wanted to know about that one.
Shout out to Santa Barbara 805.
That's
Shout
right.
out to y'all, man. Thank you.
And from Mariposa, Arizona. All right. She wanted to know what is the New York. What is okay? Basically, is your style the way you dress now? Like me, my style is considered old school. Now, the way you dress to the youngsters nowadays out there, is it considered old school, or is it all still pretty much the same? Because to me, my vision of New York people dressing is the big jackets and the chains and the big old locks. That's my vision of it, but I don't know. See, and that's why I guess everybody just curious on the styles. And like me, I would
Yeah.
be considered, I
Listen,
guess,
man.
old school.
So it's a weird question and it's a good question at the same time because New York is like fashion capital. So you're gonna find like all the new trends that may pop up, you're gonna find them in New York. But in terms of me personally dressing, I'm definitely a tip of the old school, but I keep up with the new stuff. Like on my feet, I'm always gonna have modern current kicks that are fancy. I ain't gonna have no old choppy ones unless they're classics. Stan Smith, Adidas. You know, say I may get a pair of the 960 New Balance, maybe something like that. But other than that, I may have a brand new pair of Jordans or something modern. Always definitely, I like bucket hats, right? That's my thing. I love Beck and I love Kango hats.
Okay.
Kango is my #1 brand of hats. So I usually have a cap, that sort of thing. So in terms of, man, I've always been out the box with my fashion ever since I was a little kid. Always match my stuff. Always have my little style to do my thing. Always have my composure of how I put things together. So for me, I'm always on point. You see me anytime, I'm gonna be decorated the proper way, and everything is gonna be on point, modern, and maybe with a tip of the old school to it. Because at the end of the day, we are what we are, right? We old school, so
It
we ain't
is.
trying to change that, and we'll never, falsify that. We claim that real proudly. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Exactly. And just out of curiosity, are the skinny jeans a big thing out there?
Shit, not for 50-year-olds,
No,
man.
I know, I know that, I know
I
that.
mean, yeah, nah, I'm teasing, man, but I'm saying, yeah, of course, which goes like that would lead us to a different topic, right? That whole skinny jeans shit would lead us to the feminization of rap music, right?
Right.
That opens up a whole Pandora's box. And listen, I gotta be real. Back in the early 80s, we wore Lee jeans and we had them straight legged and we had them tied down at the bottom. And that was kind of similar to the style of these straight jeans. You know what I'm saying? These skinny jeans that these cats are wearing. If I had to use a comparison in time and era in fashion, the equivalent to that would be when we had the Lee jeans and jackets and we would get them tapered in the bottom so that they could be, looking fine and shit was part of the composure, how you rock that suit. So, I can't knock them too much, but it's the other things that come in that make it a little bit extra. Saying when I say the feminization of the music, I'm talking about dudes with their nails painted, saying dudes rocking lipstick, dudes wearing feminine dresses, some dudes trying to glorify, saying it's okay to be gay. And it's okay to be gay, but you can't really like throw that in too hard, man. You got to be
Exactly.
easy with that. We still old school. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can't come gudging that in, man. There's a way of doing things, you know what I'm saying? And I think we're seeing like a glorification of it that's a little overboard, man. So we
Exactly.
gotta, da.
Exactly,
I'm
man.
just
I
saying.
feel you
And
on
nothing,
that
and
one.
let me be clear about something. I just want to be clear about this though. After saying that, I had nothing against people that may be, homosexuals and nothing like that. Nothing against them. I appreciate it. I got family members, I got friends that I know that are gay. It's all good, man. I got no problems with nobody who's gay. I'm just talking about you taking this and making it into something else. I'm
Right.
not that. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I go, hey, we got to divide this. We got to draw a line. There needs to be a separation of the two. We can't merge them. They don't belong together. They're not the same thing.
Exactly. But you did make a good point there because in a sense, now that I think about it, now that I look at the old school pictures, like how you said that you guys would I mean, from what I see, the old platforms, they wore the old bell bottoms tight, real tight, like you said. I don't, that's so in a sense, it is kind of the same thing. I never thought of it like that, so that's a good way, of putting it. And hey, I guess that's
I
why I
mean,
picked
listen,
that question.
they say that they say that fashion repeats itself every 20 years. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like 10 years ago, girls were wearing bell-bottom pants. Like that was the thing. You go back 10 years and you look at it, girls were big on bell bottoms and big shoes, big heels type thing, right? Wearing with their bell bottoms. Well, if you go 20 years back, that's what was in fashion in the 70s. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
right,
Like that's what they were wearing. So fashion repeats itself, man. And just to give an example, I was saying before about the leads and the straight legs. If you think back to like early '80s, Run DMC, them posing with their denim jackets. If you look at the bottom of their feet, you will see that the jeans are tight on their legs, and that was
that
because that was the way you would tailor them. We would actually take them in to get hemmed in the bottom to make them a little bit thinner.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that was part of, and that's an example of how styles and fashions do repeat themselves.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, I know you got to notice definitely the styles are way different from uh, the East Coast and the West Coast. Way different. And I guess that's why people are
Yeah.
so interested in wanting to know about styles and stuff and New York and I guess that's why and I
Nah, it's
had
all good. It's beautiful.
yeah, and from Crazy Legs, man, this guy Crazy Legs, he wanted to know what is the number one thing that you like about New York, and what is the worst thing, the number one worst thing that you would dislike about New York?
I mean, I would think the first thing in terms of the positive of New York City, it's very cultural. Like it's rich in culture. Like if you into learning, if you into knowing things about life and the world, New York is definitely the place to be because we're the melting pot to the whole world. And I mean, just in the borough where I live, which is Queens, we have over 180 languages that are spoken. So if you
Wow.
think about that, that's almost equivalent. That's almost equivalent to the amount of countries that exist in the planet. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about each individual language having its own particular culture, you're talking about eating their foods, seeing how they dress, seeing how they behave within society, right? So it's a big melting pot, man. It's a big learning curve about what the world is really about. So it gives you that perspective. Anytime you leave New York, you will see how so much the same a lot of the country really is. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to this melting pot that's so diversified. And in terms of going to the cons of New York, let's tackle that from an artist perspective. You know, the market is so heavy and such a big market that for independent artists is really tough for you to break through because you're dealing with the biggest of the biggest. They run this market. They run the New York market. It's a big market. So as an independent, it's hard to compete with these giants, which is
Right.
why it's important that we reach out to other areas, we expand in different ways, and not just focusing on, let's say, my city per se. So I would say that would be the con to it. But the city never sleeps, man. 24 hours a day, you're gonna find action. You're gonna find something to do. And that's a beautiful thing. You don't find that anywhere around the world,
That's true. Yeah.
maybe Vegas and a very few other places. But this city don't sleep and it's rocking. You know, it just keeps rocking all the time.
Always something to do, huh? All the time. But
Yeah, for sure.
let me see. There was a one more question that I wanted to ask you of myself. Let me see. I gotta rethink it here. But yeah, man, it's a lot of people are really curious about New York because, like I said, the culture, the style, everything is so different. I mean, it just even the like how you guys say B, for instance, out here, like
Yeah.
we'll say what's up, A, and it's just even the lingo, everything. And it's a big curiosity. It piques everybody's interest, man. I'm sure it has to pique your interest too on how we get down out here. Also, I'm sure, um, but yeah, it's just oh, that's what it was. Can you let everybody know for one more time exactly your albums that you had put out, and that way we know, and the YouTube, my viewers know exactly what albums you have, and they can go check them out.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of records I put out. I'll name a couple of them for you guys because once you find one, you'll find the others.
Okay.
My very first album that I put out was called, the first one I put out was called Purina Pura. Put that out in 2002. After that, we dropped Confia en Me. And then after that, we dropped yeah, Confia en Me. That's where Tres Coronas come out. I have a song with La Mala Rodriguez, who's tremendous. Anybody who knows about Spanish rap knows that she's a Grammy winner, platinum record artist. You know, I recorded with J Mayúscula. I recorded with Acción Sanchez, which is a tremendous producer. A lot of big artists, a lot of big artists from
Yeah.
Spain, a lot of big artists from Colombia, La Etnia, who has, listen, we have a song together called La Cuna al Ataúd, which is the Colombian national anthem. This song is crazy. This banger right here, there's not a hip hop party that happens in Colombia where this song is not played. It just wouldn't be a complete hip hop party if that song ain't part of the repertoire. That's how big this joint is. So, I mean, I've done a lot of international things, but back to the listing. I have a whole series of EPs that I put out during the pandemic at the beginning of 2020. And that series is called the Retro Rap Series. Now, I
Okay.
have volumes 1 through 9 available right now on any music platform of your preference. You go in there, look up Full Nelson, look up Retro Rap. You're going to see volumes 1 through 9. There's a lot of music right there. On
Okay.
top of that, every Valentine's Day, starting last year, I started dropping a record called Bien y Mal. Bien y Mal, we're up to volume 2. Last year was the one on Valentine's Day. This Valentine's Day that just passed, I dropped number 2. So I would definitely encourage people to go check that out. Bien y Mal 1 and 2. Next up, we have Manzana Fria 2. We also have Manzana Fria 1 available. So like I said, man, there's a lot of music out there. My catalog is extensive. I've been rocking music since 2000, officially in Spanish. That's 21 years of accumulating features, solo songs, EPs, albums, videos. There's a lot of stuff. It's just been up to me to get out there. I've always been like, it's funny, man. I never really wanted attention. Ain't do music for attention and never done music to get rich. Always done music because it's been in my genes, it's been in my DNA, it's been part of who I am. And so I've gone for a beautiful ride. And there's been moments where I could have stepped up and gotten a limelight, but I decided instead to just fall back. 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
So at the end of the day, no, we good. I get back to him. But at the end of the day, man, that's really part of the narrative, man. I just always wanted to give people good music and let the world know that Latinos represented hip hop just like our African American counterparts. I
Right.
felt like we've been cheated out of the big game. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's always been a struggle to make sure that I try to crack that chain open because I've always felt like we've been restricted. We've been limited to the party, almost like if we're not fit to rock it. Meanwhile, we've been in the trenches rocking it from day one. And so that injustice is something that I'm looking to overcome at all costs, which is why I'm still rapping. You know, and until I do it, I'll stop, man. The day I crack that open, that's the day I may fall back a little bit and put some youngins on. I'll be like, all
Hey,
right, now it's time to bring in tier two. You
hey,
know?
I see it happening, my boy. Honestly, with that, with your resume, man. Honestly, you got to. I mean, it's got to. Something's got to hit one day. That's for sure. Like I
Appreciate
said,
that.
the music that
Absolutely.
I've heard my own self, and I'm not just saying it because I got you on my show, but honestly, it's fire. You get down, man. And the people you have collaborated
Thank you.
with that I have seen you collaborate with, man. And even like I said, your resume, just the people you mentioned, I've looked them up my own self. And yeah, people, my viewers have too. MD 2020, shout out to MD 2020. He's always he listens to your music now all the time. You know what I'm saying? He's always telling me, hey, Fool Nelson, man, he gets down.
Absolutely. Shout out to him, bro. I see him. I see him. Absolutely. Peace, my
That's right.
brother. And thank you for the love, man. Much appreciated.
And
Without a doubt.
last but not least, the last question uh, I just want to know out of curiosity, because I know some people are actually doing their music from iPhones now, and it actually sounds good. It sounds like, they're in a studio. But are you actually in the studio, or how do you get your music done? Or do you do it off of an app like that also?
Nah, man. I'm old school, brother. I go into the studio and I get down in the booth and I rock with my engineer. Shout out to Killer Blaze. You know what I'm saying? And we just rock in the studio, brother. I got my engineer and we do what we do. That's kind of like that's my retreat. When I go into the studio, that's where I get to unwind and let my creativity just expand and just let me take me there. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
for me, it would be something I wouldn't want to take away. Like I could easily set up a studio in one of my rooms, but to me, it's not the same experience. I enjoy working with somebody in that collaborative environment. And so I'll still go to the studio and I rock out. Now I'll tell you this, there's nobody in the studio with me. I go by myself. It's just me and an engineer. There's no hanging out. There's no people hanging out smoking weed or doing anything crazy. You know what I mean? It's just me and the engineer and we doing what we gonna do. I come in with my game plan. I already know what I'm dropping and we just do it. We work a couple of hours straight and it's a wrap.
See,
In
and
fact, tomorrow morning I'm hitting the studio. I got a 7 to 10 session, nice and early. I like to record early in the morning. That's another thing. I don't like recording at night. I feel like
see,
your brain is fresher after you sleep and you're nice and fresh,
exactly,
And so,
exactly.
yeah, so for me, that's like the right time. And besides, when I go into a studio, I leave my soul in the booth, man. Like if I'm in there recording and I leave that room, you're not allowed to step in that booth. It's just too hot. The energy's crazy. Anybody that's ever tried to step into the booth when I'm done can't go in. They gotta
Yeah,
wait.
man.
I swear on everything,
Hey, I
B.
believe
I
you,
just
man.
my soul comes out in that room and no one can step in to record. They gotta let that shit air out.
Hell yeah. Hey, that's
Yeah,
fire though. That's good. Like you
that's
said,
how we
when
do it.
you go in focused, you go in with the game plan. You ain't there to party. You're there to work. Ain't nobody hanging out, smoking, drinking, none of that. You're just there to work, man. And that's the best way to do it. And that's probably why your shit comes out like it does. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants to make it look like a party, and usually it is a party when they go up in the studio.
It
And
shouldn't be. It
yeah,
shouldn't, think
you're there to
about that.
work.
Let's think about that for a second. You there to work. You trying to put your career forward. You trying to come up with your game plan. First off, I recommend that rappers don't write in the studio. Write at home. Craft your stuff at home. So that when you get to the studio, you already practice your rhymes 100 times. And you ready to go in there and just spit it. That is the way you're gonna come out with your best product. You take your time, you work it out. By the time you hit to record it, your shit is solid. You already know what you're gonna do in your mind. You already envision what that song is gonna sound like because you worked it through. And that's the way you should go into a studio. Once you got that song all mapped out, from your introduction to your outro, by the time it's done, you ready. If you don't have those things ready, you shouldn't be in the studio.
Exactly.
You
That
know,
hey,
but listen, those are things that we learn. I remember very early on in my career, that's what we did. We would go to the studio, we would sit around writing, but at the same time, we're spending $100 an hour when we
see,
could have been doing this at home
and that's
for
weird how you
free.
brought. That's weird how you said that. Okay, because and I know I told you that was the last question, but I interviewed somebody yesterday, and they were talking about studio time and paying for studio time and how expensive it is, and they wish somebody would just throw the line and at least give them a little bit of time. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, how do you? I mean, obviously, you probably got it a little better than others, being that you have the resume that you do and as much music as you put out. Because from what I hear, they want $300-400. I really don't know. But yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, if you're gonna be paying $100 an hour, yeah, you better go in there with your shit right and ready to you know, do your thing. But
Yeah, you wanna make sure you maximize that hour. You got 60 minutes, bro. You know,
six,
make sure that every minute counts, right? You don't want to sit around and waste 45 minutes so that you down to 15 minutes of actually working your music. It's probably gonna take you 15 minutes to get through the first part of your song. Like
right.
that's not enough time, you know. I mean, not if you want, polished product, right? It's all about quality. It's not really so much go in there and spit a rhyme. Anybody could just spit a rhyme. But if you want something to be solid and you want it to be something that is memorable, then you want to take your time with it. You want to craft it. You want to make sure that that design is exactly what it's supposed to be, you know. And
Exactly.
at
And
the end of
see,
the day, that's what shines for you because that's a reflection of who you are, right? Your music is who you are, and people need to understand that. If I let you hear some shit that's half-assed, that's what you're gonna criticize me on. You're gonna hold me accountable to that quality. You won't in your mind say, well, I could just imagine him sounding better on a more polished track. No, you're gonna judge me on what I let you hear. And so that's why it's important to make sure that by the time you let people hear your stuff, it's definitely polished and ready for that, you know?
see, and that's one thing I like about you, Fool, Nelson, man, is your mind state. Your mind state, you can, a lot of people can learn a lot just off of watching your videos, and they can get a lot of knowledge. And that's why I love having you on the show, man. I mean, and hey, I appreciate you a lot, man. None but love and respect from, the Southwest. You already know how it is. Shoot. And yeah, this is OG Gordo,
Thank you,
homie.
Gordon.
And is there anything else you would like to say before we sign out? Any shout outs?
Now, man, I just want to thank everybody who watched this. I want to make sure that I shout out everybody who asked a question, everyone who was inquisitive about this interview, about the first one, everyone who's going to participate and watch the second one. Definitely want to take the time to invite everybody to check my social media stuff out there, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube. Definitely get at all, anywhere, any platform that you use to listen to music. If you do so, definitely look up Fo Nelson. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of music out there, and I want you guys to be able to enjoy that different sound. I understand that there aren't a lot of rappers out there that sound like me. This is true. I got my own little thing going, and it's because at the end of the day, I've been doing this for a long time, and I come from the school of originality. And so what I'm going to bring to the table will never sound like nobody. I got my own lane, and I hope everybody gets on board and follows me, and let's grow together, because at the end of the day, I invite everybody to get on the Fo Nelson train. Let's make it happen from
Let's
New
do it.
York all the way around the world. And we end up in the Southwest hanging out, having a beer together, and that's where we at.
That's right.
You know what
And
I mean? So, much love. Thank you for sharing your space with me. I appreciate you. You already know me, casa tu casa, like I told you round one. We here. I'm going to send you a couple of my goons so you can talk to them and chop it up a little bit. And once again, thank you for your time, my brother.
hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you too, Nelson, man. None but love and respect all the way from Arizona to New York City, my boy. And I'm out.